Hello friends, thank you very much for joining in for today's session. And like always, this is a part of the career conversation wherein we are talking to our students who have previously completed their examination. So right now, we're going to be talking to Akshay, and he's already cleared FRM level 1 and level 2. And primarily the idea of this conversation is so that the people who have already cleared the exam can come on this platform and can talk about their experiences, the problem that they face with respect to the curriculum, some difficult topics, what was their preparation strategy, and they can guide the new guys who are planning to go for the exam in the near future. So that is the purpose of this video. And I would like to thank Akshay for being a part of this session. And just a quick introduction from Akshay's side. So Akshay, primarily before going for FRM level 1 or FRM exam, what exactly you were doing before that?
Thank you for having me, Ganesh sir. So I'm Akshay Tamhankar. Basically, I am a management graduate from Jamnalal Bajaj. So yeah, before that, I completed my bachelor's in engineering, and then I worked for 2 years. Then after that, I moved to my MBA. So basically, my thought process giving FRM was, to be very frankly, uh, everyone in the college has the same sort of CV. So just to stand out, you need to give some competitive exams. So FRM happened to be one of them. And why I particularly chose FRM? Why it is because of the element only risk. Okay, since after the financial market collapse in 2008, risk becomes a very sort of a buzzword.
Right,
Okay,
right,
with with the what it is importance of that word in the real world.
right.
So that is why I wanted to do something in risk, and FRM happened to be, the best exam risk, person can give and avail the charter and join that elite community. Hence, there was a what you can say mm, a focus of my entire study, went towards the risk. Since the kind of job I'm also doing right now also requires it. I'm a trader at RBL Bank Limited. Okay, on the currency desk, I do currency trading and derivative structuring. So yes, knowing FRM, so basically it's an advantage for yourself that I know what I'm doing, and what FRM helps you to do in such job is it helps you to identify your limits. Yeah, this is the risk what I am supposed to take, and I cannot go beyond that. FRM helps you to understand that risk, okay, and how to maximize your whatever job objective is
Right.
within that boundary of risk. It helps you to do that as well.
Okay, perfect. So primarily when you started out to do this FRM course, your objective was to do something which will differentiate you from the other people in your college, and also primarily to get some
Exactly,
expertise, specialized knowledge into risk. And now, since you
exactly,
are already a part of that job, which requires you to know risk, which requires you to know something which is related to FRM, it is definitely adding value to you. Okay. So
exactly.
when we look at FRM level 1, uh, was there any particular topic that you faced any problem initially when you started out?
So since I was while preparing for FRM when I was in college, okay, so I always had that company of professors who could teach, okay, along with my preparations.
Okay,
So the
okay,
only subject which was a differentiator in I started preparing in my third semester, which is like after 2017, uh, May. So my attempt, the May attempt was over, and I was preparing for the December attempt. So
Acha.
the only what you can say the advantage I had was the company of professors along with my friends. So uh,
Mhm.
there were many subjects which were overlapping with my curriculum in the college, just
Right,
like your quants, okay, your
right,
financial markets and products, and ethics again, which is not a part of curriculum, but the portfolio management in that book one. Okay,
right,
the
right.
only differentiator that had was the value at risk. Okay, that was something which is something not taught in
The MBA
any of the
college.
colleges, and even if it is taught, it is kept at the very grassroots level. I mean, at the very surface level, they don't go that deep. So that's the only differentiator. So, but the entire since I had already studied all those subjects, so I had a sort of a primer on me that a foundation sort of that I can build upon it, and whatever I've learned, I can manage that through this.
Right,
And if
right.
I have any doubt, I can any day approach my college professors who were taught my that subject and ask my doubts over it. So
Okay.
yeah, I had that was my one strategy, and my entire focus again then came to VAT. First, something which I had no clue about how to deal with it, how to do about it. So there were professors who were working in their profile or something. So I used to go and ask them that out like, sir, this is like why the thing, and I'm not able to comprehend with this thing. Could you just help me out? Yeah, that was the preparation.
So primarily, there were people around you who were able to help you. So you got some advantage being a part of that. You were part of the college and doing the exam together. But in terms of preparation, so the number of hours that you were putting. So I'm assuming that there was not much of a problem because you were studying at that point in time for the level one, right?
Yes, yes,
So
yes,
the time preparation was not an issue. So when you completed level one, and if I'm not wrong, you said for the placements. So was there
yes.
any change that you saw, or the your intention or your objective of getting into FRM was to differentiate your CV? So did you find that happening in the placements
Yes, I
increasing?
did. So whenever the roles which came which required risk,
Right.
okay, so I was sort of given some priority. You can say I was almost got shortlisted for every role that had something or other to be related to risk. Let that be any credit monitoring in your financial inclusion portfolio, or that for that matter as a trading assistant in some MNC. I always got shortlisted on that, and since I had some concepts, since FRM level one itself is a very vast and covers majority of the topics.
Right.
So I had that what can I say, a base created so that I could tackle any question that was asked to me in my interview.
Right.
I could clear that. I mean, I literally went through like easily through all the interview, and I got selected in almost every company which had something or other to do related to it, and I got shortlisted.
Perfect. So basically, having the FRM level one at least, your CVs got shortlisted primarily because of that. And
FRM itself is very vast with respect to topics and the concepts. It
right.
basically helps. I mean, there is hardly anything you can ask outside other than what you learn in FRM. I mean,
Right.
FRM two level goes in deep with that,
Mhm.
but nobody expects you to know anything in deep. At least when you're a college graduate.
Right, I agree. And that is what the aim of the exam is, primarily to give you a base, because more and more when you start working, you'll get to understand the concept, you'll get to understand what you have learned, you will try to apply it to your job, and that's how your progression generally happens. And I think so. I mean, for in your case, at least FRM level one helped you in terms of passing on your CV, helping you in the interview also. What about FRM level two? Now, when we're looking at FRM level two is vast. Okay, so was there any particular subject, particular topic which you felt a bit difficult? Because if you look at FRM level two from level one, there's a big shift that happens. So what is
Exactly.
that topic or book that you've actually felt a bit difficult in your preparation?
So major difference in FRM level 1 and FRM level 2 is the approach. Okay. So the
Right.
FRM level 1 happens to be very, very quant intensive. So out of you have 100 questions in FRM 1, out of that you can expect at least 65 to 70 questions to be quant. Okay. Wherein you have to, just analyze the data. You just have to
Right.
see the data, what is given to you, what is not given to you, and which data is important, what formula to use. Just apply that formula and get your answer. This is not something the case with FRM2. FRM2 basically is very theory intensive. In that exam, basically you have to understand the concepts. Something which is very similar to your ethics part in your book one from level one. Okay, so there you have to understand the case study that this is something that he did was wrong. Okay, let that be the case of metal Jesus shaft or Peter the body case. What he did wrong, where they exactly went wrong.
Right.
That is something that you need to understand in level. So let that be your credit risk, operation risk, market risk, or some FinTech related stuff. You need to understand that yes, this is the case. Yeah, if this thing happens, then this will there. Then there's a causal relationship that you need to understand in your level two. Particularly, like every other student, I faced the difficulty in operational risk. Why? Because operational risk happens to be the biggest or topic in the exam compared to the weightage given to it. Okay, and again, the same problem being subject being very vast, you tend to forget what you have learned in the past.
Right.
Okay, so it is
Right. I
the
agree.
best thing is to memorize everything. Other subjects can pretty much manage. Let that be market risk because I particularly like subjects being quant intensive, being an engineer and
Right.
a management student with some quant background. I prefer to be exams to be quant intensive. That makes
Right,
my
right.
life easy. And that is why you can manage market risk, you can manage credit risk as well.
Hmm.
But to manage operation risk, where I have to understand the theory, and
Right.
particularly with very less sums, in that whole book, it really becomes difficult.
And also, if I'm not, so what I also tell to students is that ops risk is vast, definitely, and more of those concepts are more or less common sense. Or if the
Exactly.
question also comes, it will not be very tough for you to guess the answer. But the only challenge that students generally face is that since it is very vast, it takes a lot of preparation time just to go through that book once. That's
Exactly.
a
And again,
yeah.
the pattern of exam is such that being in English, so sometimes you tend to analyze what they have said in English in your own mother tongue. It becomes very difficult for that. And there is a very bright chances that Garp will tweak the language as such that it will make your understanding of the question different than what you are expected to understand. And that also helps you to mark the wrong question, wrong answers in the exam. So
Right.
again, English wise also, it's not only the taste of your memory, but also the taste of your English.
Okay. And so when you go for the exam, if I'm not wrong, for level one, you were able to solve around 80, 85. Correct.
Yes,
Out of that 100, right? So 80,
yes.
85% was what you knew that you have done it correctly. For level two, what was that number in terms of percentage?
So level one, I'll just tell you how my approach is to solve the exam. This is
Okay.
and it is common across all the exams which are objectives.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I first give my first 5 minutes to glance through the all the questions that I have.
Perfect.
That it basically gives me the feel of the exam that this is pretty much solvable. In that first 5 minutes, I'm extremely vulnerable. If I don't get the right feeling of the exam that this is something that I can solve, I'm completely collapsed in those first 5 minutes. Or if I get the feeling that yes, this is something pretty much manageable, yes, that it's sort of a foundation for me. It helps me to build upon that.
Right, right, right.
So I give you first 5 minutes, then I don't randomly. Some many people do that. They randomly, open a page and start following and start following from question one. Okay, if I'm able to get the answer, if I would read the question carefully, if I don't understand, while reading the question, you understand the important, parts of the question that there's something important XYZ, and then start solving it. If you are able to solve, mark the answer and move to next question. If you are
Right,
not able to solve, don't waste your time. Move to next question. Once
right.
if you go through all this first 100 questions, just see how much you have solved. Okay, then go for level 2. I mean, the second layer. In second layer, what you do, if you feel that this is something I know, and given some little 1 or 1.5 minute I can solve it, just
Right.
go for it, solve it. And the third part is something like agadam bagadam bagadam. If you don't know anything, you can't solve it. There is no point in wasting your time than
Right, right.
something on something which you don't know, where
Hmm.
rather than spending on your time something that you know for sure. Okay,
Right,
then
I
just
agree.
mark the questions and move ahead. So
Right.
out of that, combining your level one, I mean the first filter and the second filter, I could solve approximately 80 to 83 questions. Okay, with my accuracy being around 85%. If you want to clear the level one exam, so again this is a very common misconception people that have that you need to have at least 75% in every subject. It's not
Ah,
the
right. Lot
percentage
of
question, it's the
yeah.
percentile that matters.
Right.
It's not your alone performance, it's the performance of other people also that matters. If you have felt that your exam has gone good,
Hmm.
99% of the other people will also feel that their exam was good, and
Exam
if
is very
you
easy.
face some difficulty even after yes, conditions mark, even after good preparation, others will also feel the same who have done the similar preparation like you, or something better than you. Okay, so again, I would
Yeah.
say that if you want to clear the level one, which happens to be tougher than your CFA level one, find CFA level two probably. So I would say 65 to 70 attempt overall out of 100 with accuracy level of around 75% will help you to say through all this.
Right, I agree. Few more points to add over here. So, going to the point that you mentioned about percentile. So, I have met students who have cleared the exam. Sorry, who have not able to clear the exam. They've appeared for 2 times, and then when they come down to me and talk to me, and they are not clear about the percentile concept itself. They felt that it was percentage. So, a lot of people who are not able to clear the exam, they do not have that clarity how the exam is going to assess. It's going to be checked or assessed. Okay. Further, one more point is that, like you mentioned, you should have the bunch of topics, and from that 100 question, should do the first glancing from the question. You should get the feel. Next, do out of bunch, and always, like you mentioned, when you are not able to solve anything, don't get that thing on your ego. Leave it
Exactly.
alone. You will actually solve it at the end. So because in this exam, you'll end up giving those guesses for the last 10-15 questions. That's going to be the normal thing, and you should make sure that difficult questions are kept for that and the easy questions are solved. That is alone will make a big difference on your exam result. So that,
Exactly, because even if you are the smartest case in the room, you won't be able to solve 100 on 100 questions in one go, for sure.
right,
The exam is so vast and so font intensive being. I mean, you have to write the formula, analyze, then you have to, enter that into your calculator, save that value, again that use that value somewhere else. It
right,
becomes very, very, very time consuming. So any attempt around 80, 85, I mean, you have done exceptionally well if you do that. Even attempt, even if you solve like around 65 70 questions, give a pat on your back that I've done a great job, and it really
right,
kind of guarantees you that you will be able to do that. So nobody,
agree,
it is not a question that you have to solve 100 questions. It's just a question of how many questions you solve and what's your accuracy, by what accuracy that you solve. Don't take
right.
anything on ego. If some questions are difficult, they are meant to be difficult. Okay, and their intention is to make your time best on that question, so that something a low hanging fruit you might not catch, which is just flying ahead.
And one more question. So preparing for both FRM level 1 and level 2, what would what would be your quick tips to the new guys who are preparing with respect to the preparation time that is needed on a daily basis,
So since I
especially
was
when they're working.
okay, so since I was in college for level one, so college MBA colleges are being very very what you can say. You have many assignments, with some strict deadlines and
Mm,
everything. So they're also taking some time out for this particular exam becomes sometimes really difficult. But since I was in college, so I already had some time. I could study that in between the subject, what you can say, lecture time. If
right,
I get like around 1 hour or 2 hours lecture time in between two lectures, I could study that over there. And again, so since I gave the exam, so after every exam you have some buffer period of like around 50 or 3 weeks or 4. So, my college used to, schedule the exams in such a way that, it doesn't overlap with either CFA or FRM, or it makes, free before your competitive exam. So I
right,
had that advantage being in JP, because they used to arrange college exams at such. So I had some time over there. Coming back to the level two, when I was working professionally, it becomes sometimes very difficult, because since you're new in the company, you have to prove that you can't run
yeah,
from your work, come back home just for the excuse of I want to study something. You are sitting over there late, and so the only what I can say, learning, if you want to study, the only objective that you have, I mean only option that you have, is to devote 2 hours daily, not more than that, because your job sucks all your energy out of you while you're working. You don't feel that you may be sitting in the early office, but you don't feel that you're exhausted. But when you come home and you touch the book and you try to read it, you tend to sleep basically. So that's the case. So uh, only what you're asking, I mean, the exam asks you to study around 200 I mean, not exactly, 240 hours of studying.
right, right. This is the normal.
This
This
is
is the
basically
normal range that normally Karp also tells. Not lot of people on the forums also they talk about the same. At around 200 to 240 hours is what
exactly.
generally is
So
recommended.
basically, that you have to do is you just have to devote 2 hours of your daily, 1.5 or 2 hour, whatever you're comfortable with,
Right.
of your daily, study routine, and then give, I mean, stretch it to around 5 hours approx on weekends. That's the goal, because again you have to recharge yourself on the weekend for the next upcoming week, with your office tasks and everything. So you
I
need
think
to have
I think
you need to consume your energy there as well. So basically, it's a consuming. And
right.
on the last part, I mean, on the when your exam is appearing near, okay, that time I used to study in trains. Okay. to carry all the ebooks and everything, some videos and everything. And while traveling also, if I'm sitting in rickshaw, okay, I have 15, 20 minutes, I used to watch some video
Right.
on my cell phone. And I'm sitting in train, so it's a 40 minute journey from Andheri to Elphinstone Road. Uh, so like around, I used to read. So specifically when I was in level 2, I used to read all the concepts of this uh, fintech wala thing.
Uh,
Okay, I used to
right.
run that because that is not something which you will remember. I mean, it is very cumbersome to understand. So I used
Current
to
issues. Yeah.
keep running, yeah, keep running or glancing through all the PDFs and everything of ebook when I
Right.
was
Right.
traveling.
Right. So after completing your FRM level 2, I mean, after completing your FRM exam, was there any change or was there any direct indirect benefit that you saw in terms of your career? Direct means remuneration driven, job specific driven, getting job calls and all, and indirect might be reputation and recognition and all this stuff.
Exactly. So since in terms of job and job remuneration, I've already told you that I've already mentioned that in previous questions that your chances of getting shortlisted while you're in the pool of 120 students
Right.
also happens to be one of the brightest in the city or from that admission quota. So it basically stands your chance out that you have done something extra than what you are supposed to do in your college.
Right.
Okay, having the chartered degree which has at least a level one, which has the reputation that being the toughest exam in finance domain of level one combined. So it basically helps you to stand out. Okay, it brightens
Right.
your chances that you will be shortlisted for some interview, and again it gives you some confidence. I can tell you that after clearing level, it certainly boosts your confidence like nothing else. You can any day go to any what you can say interview and crack that interview for sure, for sure. At least on the basic levels, you can crack it for sure. Apart from remuneration, I can't comment on that because being a management company, all that have some fixed component and fixed what you can say increment or stock options or
But
things.
was there
I'm
any
concerned that
recognition within the organization when you cleared the
yes,
exam?
it does help you. Yes, it does help you that you have understood. Since I'm in a treasury professional, okay, my job is to hedge exposure.
Right.
Again, hedging is equal to risk. How to manage your risk. Again, it gives you like recognition that he knows some concepts, and of course, your employer also believes you that that this kid has done something other than the studies and everything. So basically, it helps you to maintain your image or increase or enhance your image in terms of organization. Again, coming back to the job specific part, being a forex trader and derivative structuring. Okay, the derivative structuring itself says that it is something has to do with the risk management. So when I go to the client and they say on my visiting card or sometimes being in I was since I'm in touch with them for most of them, sometimes they go to my LinkedIn as well. Okay, then they tell me, "Arey, you have done MBA from this college or you have done FRM and everything." So that basically helps you to they attain their attention that
Yes.
whatever he is saying, he's not blabbering. Okay, if he's saying something, yeah, there has to be some basis over it.
So
So
basically,
it
the
helps you to.
recognition or the perception of people whom you meet, not only on your day-to-day life.
I can just sum that in one word that is called izzat. It gives you a hell lot of izzat.
Okay, okay, great, great, great. So wonderful. I mean, thank you very much, Akshay, for sharing your views and sharing your journey from directly from the FRM preparation, FRM level 2 preparation after FRM. So this is definitely going to be helpful for the students who will be seeing this video in future and will be preparing for the exam and have a clear mindset when they go for the exam. So that from that perspective, really, really thank you, and we wish to see you also in future sessions of our institute where you can come and contribute in terms of knowledge to our students also.
Sure thing. Thank you so much for having me. And if you need any help or anything, you will get in touch with Ganesh. He has my number. And if you wish to have any queries regarding how to prepare for it, what are the job perspectives and everything. And of course, if I have some jobs in my office or something, in that terms, I'll be more than happy to help you out because we being a part of the same community, it is our job to lend helping hand to each other.
So thank you very much, Akshay. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir.